I just want to share some thoughts about the war in Iran and about what's going on in Iran.
All right.
It is important for Christians not to be swept up with the passions of nationalism. The actions of America, the military actions of America, need to be assessed and continually assessed on the basis of the just war theory. So there needs to be a clear case for just war laid out by the American administration, and there needs to be a case, a continuous assessment of American action to see if it is justice in war. And the Christian Church of America must advocate for both things in this current moment where America is at war with Iran. Anyway, separate to all of that, how are you?
Sorry for the
What's
delay.
your name, bro?
Nice to meet you. Tarek is my name. Nice
Tarek.
to meet you. I'm all good.
I actually know a Tarek who became a Christian here in the park.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
Yeah, I'm very happy. I'm very happy.
I'm obviously a Muslim. Nice
Yeah. What gave it away? So as a Muslim, do you follow? Is there a particular school of thought that you're in, or a denomination?
So I'll tell you a bit about me, because I'm a bit of an oddball.
Yeah.
I guess overall I would just say Hanafi, because why not?
Yeah.
But really and truthfully, my journey to Islam purely came from reading the Quran on my own. I didn't really stick to any group or school.
Yeah.
So
Were you born in a Muslim family?
Not really, no.
No.
Not really.
Non-practicing Muslims.
My mum was Muslim, but didn't really do too much with it.
Yeah.
My dad was Christian.
Yeah.
And really and truthfully, I'd say I came to Islam when I was 15 from an atheist perspective.
Yeah.
By analysing the Bible, the Quran,
Yeah.
and so on.
Yeah.
And I'm a lot older now. So.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, what is it about the Islamic faith that you feel is inherently superior to the Christian faith?
The main thing, clearest thing, the quality of the text that people say is from God.
Right. The quality
of the Quran blows the Bible out of the water, as far as I've seen.
Can you give any objective reasons rather than subjective? Like, what are the objective criteria by which the Quran is superior to the Bible?
So, just for context's sake, a lot of us will see different things when we look at these books because we're wired differently.
Yes,
I
of course.
quite like maths and logic. I appreciate logical things. Some people like fluffy things.
Yeah, me neither.
For me, when I analyze it, I saw too many things that were too precise.
Yeah.
Things that you wouldn't say without being seen as a madman, or like, having to put something around it, like to make it seem more palatable.
Yeah.
That the Quran just says, like outlandish things. Later on, they're all true.
Yeah.
And if you do that enough, at the very least, it can't be coincidence.
Yeah.
At the very least.
Okay, so my instant reply to that is, if the argument is that the Quran says things that are true, therefore it is true, then the Bible also says things that are true, but obviously you say therefore, but you wouldn't apply the logic that therefore it is true, even though it says true things.
I would love to. I would absolutely love to.
Wait, one second. Let me land. Well, this is the point I was just about to make. You stole my thunder. Because if we're going to say that the Quran is true because it says things that are true, and I'm willing to accept that it says things that are true, you don't need to prove that point. We must therefore assume by the reverse logic that if it says things that are objectively false, that therefore it is false. So if I could demonstrate to you a concrete example of where the Quran is actually objectively wrong, do you have the courage and the conviction of your principles to leave Islam?
So,
that's the question, not about the Quran, about you.
I'm going to preface this by saying many have tried, including myself, to do exactly that thing.
Okay.
Whenever I find an issue with the Quran, I realize it's an issue with myself later on.
Right.
I.e. lacking context, lacking information, or just thinking about it wrong.
Yeah.
If you want to try and do the same thing, maybe we'll both be wrong together.
Yeah.
Or maybe you'll finally free me from the shackles of the devil that tells me to worship only one God.
Yeah.
And do nice things to everyone.
You understand that the devil himself believes only in one God, so there's nothing amazing about that. Like Satan believes only in one God.
Satan himself does, but he doesn't want us to. That's the whole deal.
And I would also, so two things. One, I would say that the devil only believes in one God, so there's nothing amazing there.
Secondly, I think there is.
Well, we maybe come on to that.
Because the devil knows the truth.
Secondly,
and knows what you shouldn't. Because he knows the truth, he wants you to believe something else.
In other words,
it's not just amazing that the bad guy did it. It's the bad guy knows the truth and wants you to believe something else.
Yes.
Which I don't.
Yes, and that is the point. And it genuinely, the shackles of Satan are upon you, bro.
As far as you,
the shackles of Satan truly are upon you because you're not worshipping the true God. You're not worshiping. Yes.
I don't worship your God.
Yes.
For sure. I don't worship the triune
exactly.
God. I don't.
Exactly, which is the one true God. But
as far as you know.
But I think we've established an objective principle by which we can test the Quran.
Putting it in layman's terms, God is never going to be wrong, ever. Men can never beat him. So if you find a point where, number one, a man, i.e. you, has beaten what I think is God, therefore that thing that I'm calling God can't be God because you beat him.
Right. Agreed.
I agree.
And so, but I do want to caution against a conceit that I'm not saying you've got, but the shadow of it has appeared, which is this idea of the Quran must be true. So therefore, any criticism of the Quran must be false.
I'll be honest, that is where I am right now.
Right,
due to the evidence I've seen.
And I would say that's a very dangerous position, because that is intellectual pride, and pride is the most stubborn of all the sins. Intellectual pride is...
Because I can say the same of you. Like,
you're
very proud of your belief.
Yes, and if you want to destroy Christianity, I'll even tell you how to do it.
I really don't want to do that.
But all I'm saying is, because Christianity and Islam are not the same. So the test by which we would test the truthfulness of Islam is not the same test that we would judge Christianity by.
Okay.
Because they're different religions. Right. Christianity is not a...
Isn't it the same message, worshipping one God? Isn't that what the true message is?
No,
this is
an Islamic characterization of Christianity.
So your religion is not to worship one God and worship him properly?
This is an Islamic characterization.
So
no, I haven't said that.
Yeah, we've agreed that.
You should... No, there's two things here. One is... Me not agreeing to your characterization is not me denying the belief in one God or the worship of one God as a part of the Christian message. Two.
So you're saying it's unfair to say yes or no to the question I asked? I
am saying that your question is based on a characterization of Christianity, and if you're going to engage with Christianity, you have to engage with it sincerely, and you have to engage with it on its own terms.
So I like this, and I will let you continue. I'm just saying, what you're essentially saying is that the question is flawed.
Yes.
This is something I apply is the person asking the question and the person answering the question there's two different questions. Therefore, if you say yes, it will give a wrong answer. If you say no, it will give a wrong answer. You need a better answer than the yes or no.
Yeah, it would be like me saying that the most important thing about Islam is Muhammad.
Okay.
Right.
That's obviously
false. Exactly. So when you say that the most important thing about Christianity is the worship of one God, what you're doing is you're taking an Islamic characterization of Islam and applying it to Christianity.
Definitely.
The most important, we do believe in one God, just like you do believe Muhammad is important. But we don't believe that the worship of one God is the most important thing, because certainly, and this is really crucial, certainly at an epistemological and existential level, right? So in terms of how we know what we know to be true and how we live our lives according to that truth. The fundamental, foundational principle of Christianity is the resurrection of Jesus. And that is the focal point of our understanding of everything else.
And of course, that's the focal point of where we deviate.
Yeah, and it is because of the resurrection that we believe that the Trinity is one God, right?
Okay,
it's important.
Okay. So that's the main reason that bolsters that entire system of belief.
It's the foundation stone.
The
the foundation stone is the resurrection of Jesus Christ.
It must be really annoying that my book specifically says it doesn't happen.
Your book. Well, your book never even mentions the resurrection.
So
it mentions only the crucifixion.
Yeah. So what it specifically says, just because it's actually
we're slightly getting on a tangent.
That's true.
I don't want to come back. No, it's fine. It's fine. I do want to remember that I'm saying that we've established an objective test to test if the Quran is true, even though you have already agreed and admitted that currently you're not in a disposition to necessarily judge that test fairly.
Yeah, I mean, what I would really need as an absolute smackdown is
a very clear error in the Quran.
Give me a Bible that beats the Quran in quality.
Right. I would say to you that what you're doing again is you're using a characterization of Christianity.
No, because no one can beat God. That's what we're saying.
No.
And if I'm saying this is from God, and the cornerstone of what you believe can't beat God,
Yes.
then
So here's a challenge.
there's an issue I have.
Here's a challenge for you. Maybe either jointly or next time we speak, disprove the resurrection. Because if you can't disprove the resurrection, and the resurrection is true, would you agree with me? Christianity is true and Islam is false.
If there is conclusive proof, definitely. Like I can see it with my own eyes. Like that, anyone can debate it.
Yeah.
Of course, you're saying that there's a definite proven thing that God, in my understanding of God, said
Yeah.
categorically didn't happen.
Yeah.
Therefore, something is clearly wrong. Either my God is false, or that's a
So we've established two ways
but
to
what I will
judge
say-
between the truth. We've established two ways to judge between the truth. One is to disprove the resurrection or establish the resurrection. The other is to demonstrate an objective error in the Quran that is undeniable.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, just clarify something. The Quran doesn't straight up say, this and this didn't happen. What it affords you is that it appears as though it happened. Not only just to the people of the time, but even now, it looks like Jesus died on the cross. He was crucified. It looks like that. So it doesn't blame you for thinking it happened.
Yeah.
However, it does the bold thing of making a weak statement in the face of a massive majority view of saying, yeah, it didn't happen. It looks like it, but it didn't. It just leaves it there. So you have to prove that not only did it just look like it happened, but it actually happened. That's a very hard thing to prove.
Right. So a couple of things. Firstly, that's not where my argument's going.
Okay.
Right? That's not the error. Though I do believe that is another error in the Quran. I do believe that is another error in the Quran.
Yeah,
but that's not the error that I was going to bring up to you.
yeah.
That was
So
not the. Wait. That was not the. No. That was not the error that I was.
You're going to
Wait.
resurrection specifically.
No, that was not the error that I was going to bring up. And also, again, I point out the Quran says nothing about the resurrection at all in any way. Now, but we also agree that if the resurrection is true, Islam is false. Now, here's the error, objective error, that the Quran gets absolutely wrong, and it's evidently wrong. The Quran says sperm comes between the backbone and the ribs.
Dude,
Where
this
does
comes from
sperm
the chapter with
come
my
from?
name.
Yeah.
Dude, I know this chapter.
Great.
I know like
So you'll be
12
able to
chapters.
talk about it.
So, sperm,
Where does sperm come from firstly? Where does sperm come from properly?
are you talking about the cells or the fluid?
Right. The Quran says sperm,
Are you talking about the
and
cells
it
or
is
the fluid?
the Quran says sperm, and it is talking therefore about sperm. So that's
you
what we're talking
talking
about.
about the sperm
So
or
we're
the
talking
fluid?
about the cells.
Cells?
We're talking about the cells.
So you're asserting that the Quran is talking specifically about the cells.
It says sperm.
So, the semen
Yes, which
is what
is
it's talking about.
Yes, which
not
it-
which is sperm.
Yes.
Because the fluid is not the cells. The fluid is not the cells.
the semen is not
I'll give you a
semen
science
is not just the liquid either.
I'll give you a
It
science
includes sperms.
So I'll give you my answers.
Go on.
The cells of the sperm come from the testes.
Yeah.
That's why if anyone's a married person, they might be able to confirm this. There's like certain masses don't change.
Yeah.
Right? The liquid that it travels from comes from the prostate. They meet together in a canal just between the ribs and the backbone. Then they ride out onwards.
Yep.
The fluid that you get, that you call semen, is the mixture of these two substances and more. That is between the ribs and the backbone.
Right. So let's go to the text. It's in Tariq. Which number is that?
I think 86. Let me get it up on my one as well. But that is my answer.
Right. The problem with your answer is it's not what the text is saying.
I'm sure you would say that.
Yeah. Let's go to it. Ba-boom, ba-boom. Where is it?
So.
Hold
the
on.
one that-
Hold
Okay,
on.
I'll wait for you to get
Where
it.
is it? 86.
86.6.
86.6. Let's go there.
And then it goes to 6 and 7.
Right. 1 second.
I did the internet thing.
Right. 86, 6 and 7. Right. That's not the passage.
Oh, well, apologies if I've
Created. Right. Hold on 1 second. No. Yes.
Go for it.
Right. So it says he is created from a drop emitted. Now you have argued. Let me explain why you're wrong, and this is not what the text says. Because you have tried to argue, right, that it's talking about semen. But the Quran, yes, the fluid. But the Quran says he is created from. Now, you and I know biologically that the seminal fluid is not what impregnates the egg. It is the cell of the sperm. And so when the Quran says, let me finish, which comes from the testes.
I think we did it.
Let me finish.
I think you'll need
No, Tariq, this is fine. He says he is created from a drop emitted. Now he is created. So he is created. So if it is talking about the drop emitted,
Yes.
it is talking about the cells, the sperm, not the surrounding fluid, as you are trying to suggest. Because Allah doesn't create from the surrounding fluid. It's you that needs the biology lessons. The sperm is what Allah creates from.
I think you're saying I need a linguistic lesson because you're saying a drop doesn't apply to cells.
Let me ask you this question.
Honestly, I think
Let me ask you this question. Let me ask you this question. What, when Allah creates,
Yes.
is He creating? Is it accurate for me to say? Is it accurate for me to say that Allah is creating from egg and sperm of man and woman? Is that accurate?
If I give you a full answer, will you give me that?
Yes, please give your full answer. Yeah.
So the first time man was created, as you know, was from clay, which he breathed life into.
Yeah.
And then that was Adam, made Eve from the ribs. Someone said, well, this isn't what you're talking about, but this is
Correct.
the original creation. The creation was continued in the manner that you described, from the man and the woman. The man
That's not my
impregnates
question.
the cell of the woman.
How?
And that is the creation of the
What is the impregnation of?
Exactly what we described. The
The
sperm
sperm and the egg.
Sperm emitted.
So, right. So, according to your exegesis, according to your tasfir, which is a word that you do know, right? According to your tasfir, I put it to you that you are forced by the words of the Quran to acknowledge that what Allah is saying when He says He is created from a drop emitted, it means that Allah is talking about the sperm because it is sperm that Allah uses to create.
So what you're arguing is the Quran is wrong by saying a drop of semen makes men.
No, what I am
That's
saying.
what you're saying, yeah.
No, I know what I am saying better than you do.
I'm sure you do. I'm
Right.
clearly missing something.
You are. Because, and unfortunately, this is a Muslim tactic that we get in Dawah here a lot, which is to be obtuse unnecessarily. Because
Are they obtuse?
That's
what you're saying.
Yes, because you know and I know that we're talking about sperms and eggs.
Yes.
Right. That's what Allah
You're
creates
talking
from,
specifically
correct?
about sperm cell, egg cell.
Correct.
And the
does,
terminology here is droplet.
does-
It doesn't say cell.
but that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is how you have obfuscated on the text, because you have tried to say that the text is talking about the surrounding fluid. And that is not what the text is talking about. And the reason why we know that the text is not talking about that is because it says from the thing that it is talking about, Allah creates. And we know what Allah uses to create, and it is sperm and egg. And we know that sperms do not come from,
drop of semen
do not
doesn't count
proceed,
as,
no they don't. Do not proceed from between the backbone and the ribs. So that is a
I'll be
factual
honest
error.
with you.
Go on.
I do think, just from off the top of my head, I think there is another verse that talks about this. This is just the one that I know, which is why I went to this one.
But this is the one I wanted to talk about.
Oh, so you are specifically about the drop?
I was specifically talking.
Because I think there's one that mentions semen. In the uses the word semen.
But you're confusing your exegesis with the words of the Quran. I am saying that your exegesis is not true to the Quran, because the Quran is talking about He created. So we're talking about the act of creation, and we know what the elements of the act of creation are: sperm and egg. And it's saying that the sperm, therefore, is proceeding from between the backbone and the ribs, and that is a factual error. And you know it is because it comes from the testes.
I won.
Yes, it is. Your reply.
If I may.
Yes.
If you're going to be this, I don't even think.
I think the word you're looking for is pedantic.
Thank you. Again, the lexicon here is brilliant. I like it. I like English, so.
Yep.
I feel like it's almost hypocritical
Go on.
to do this of the Quran, even though I still think you're incorrect.
Yeah.
But you can do the same with the Bible
Yeah.
far more easily and far more often. And it just, like, for example, if I were to bring up anything Leviticus, you could just dismiss it as, oh, it's metaphorical, it's not needed anymore, it's for old people. Without any text, you can just say, oh yeah, of course it is. Whereas you're giving me an exact proof and you're arguing on semantics and word formation and like Does a package of drop constitute cell? Can you use them the same way?
Yep.
This is what you're looking at.
Yeah.
But if I were to bring up something huge, like if something in the Old Testament is worth your while, you can throw any reason you want out there and then just not care about it. Like, we have to defend our stance tooth and nail, word by word, second by second, whereas you're allowed to just go, yeah, I mean, God does what he wants.
Can I reply?
You can reply, it's just something I find
Okay.
not right.
So the thing is, by you trying to make it about semen, I would suggest that you're deliberately trying to confuse the text. Because the text is talking about that which Allah creates from, and we know what that is. It can only be sperms and eggs.
It's true.
And
that
it said, let me
semen
finish.
isn't there.
I didn't interrupt you.
Sorry.
And we know that sperms do not proceed from the backbone and the ribs. And that is what Allah is talking about.
That's a lie.
Now, furthermore.
That's something you're asserting.
No, I have not interrupted you, Tariq.
Yeah, but
right?
if you're going to lie, I'm not going to let you lie.
Tariq, no one is lying.
Because you can get the clip from that. Like.
Tariq, let's have a conversation. Let's not let it break down. Now, the thing is, you're saying that it's hypocritical for me to test the Quran. I point out to you that it is completely legitimate for me to test the Quran by the standards that the Quran lays down. Because the Quran says, to me, not you, to me, it says, if this were from any other than Allah, they, meaning me, would find many contradictions therein, which means that I am doing the test that Allah gave me, and that is not unfair. Now, for you to say that's hypocritical, you have to show me a similar verse in the Bible where the Bible says, test the Bible to see if there's contradictions in it, because if you can find any, it's not from God. Can you find me that verse?
Off the top of my head.
The answer's no. I'll help you, Tariq.
So, if I may,
Very true.
because now you're interrupting me.
It's horrible, isn't it?
So the difference is, if I'm interrupting, which I don't like to do, it's only if there's something that needs a correction, like if you're doing something wrong. If you're interrupting me to kind of style on me,
I'm not styling.
that kind of was.
I'm not styling. I'm just helping.
No, it wasn't.
Showmanship. But,
Definitely.
yeah, showmanship.
I mean, different words here.
Yeah,
but
go on.
same. You believe that no man can beat God because he's God.
Correct.
We are flawed individuals. We are made to sin.
Yes.
We are made sinners.
No, we're not made to sin. No, I don't agree. That's an Islamic belief. It's not a Christian belief.
Okay. We are made sinners, as in we have the capacity to sin that we will never be able to shake. And that's not something God shares in.
I'll let you finish.
Yes or no?
Christians do not believe that man is made to sin.
Okay, so then maybe I misspoke. At the very least, we are sinners.
We are that we do agree upon.
This is
yes.
what I tried to say.
Yeah.
I fluffed it a bit potentially.
Okay, no worries,
Apologies.
no worries.
Man can never beat God. So the ruling still applies. Even if it's not specifically said, which I think is a weak thing, because God should challenge you. What's God got to be scared of a human beating him in something, which is never going to happen? The standard still applies. The difference is, my God specifically says you're never going to be able to, even if you get men or demons to help you, spirits, wherever you want, you'll never beat you. That is what a strong God would say.
Okay.
Whereas yours is hiding behind obscurity and ambiguity.
Can I reply?
Feel free, because I'm saying some strong accusations.
Yeah, you are. But the point is, your initial object, your secondary
My
object.
objective is that you're being overly like.
May I reply?
My objective is. To
Okay.
form
Restate your
it
objection and then I'll reply.
Form it properly. You are forcing an error within the Quran that isn't there on the notion of semantics, and your reason for doing so is God says I'll never find a mistake in it. According to you, your God says I'll never find a mistake in it. So you're forcing one in there.
Can I reply?
You can if you want, but that's what I'm
Please.
accusing of you.
Okay. So let me reply. So firstly, the point is that the Quran itself gives a test which says if this isn't from Allah, prove that this isn't from Allah by finding an error in it.
Yeah.
I have found an error in the Quran and I've not forced it. I have exegeted the text fairly and he's exegeted the text how he thinks is fair. You can decide for yourselves which one of us has exegeted the text according to the words on the book. It says that Allah created you from,
A drop
right?
emitted.
A drop emitted, created. That means it has to be. It has to be sperm, because you are not created. You are not created. If you're going to interrupt me like that, I'll start doing that to you. You get upset.
I think we're both a little bit ruffled.
No. I'm not ruffled. I'm quite used to this. You're quite pleasant, actually, in my experience. You're quite pleasant. So the Quran clearly states that it is from the thing that you are created that it's talking about that can only be sperm. And then it says that sperm proceeds from the backbone and the ribs. That is false. It is a clear and obvious error, according to every scientific textbooks in the world and just common sense. Now, ladies and gentlemen. No, I haven't finished. Now, if you want to challenge the Bible on the same grounds, then you have to find the verse that says in the Bible, this book, test it to see if you can find errors in it, and if you can, it's not from God. That test is not there. What the Bible actually teaches is that our faith as Christians is built on the resurrection. So if you want to test our faith, you have to disprove the resurrection. Two different religions, two different approaches, two different tests. I'm not inviting you to embrace a Islamic characterization of Christianity. I'm inviting you to embrace real Christianity, and I've given you now a grounds to do so by demonstrating an error in the Quran, which the Quran says should not be there.
So, I think that there's something of note here between both of us. I think we're both making the same action on the other's texts, and we both have issue with us doing to the other text. My issue is, not only are you, the word there is a drop emitted, you are enforcing the word semen, which has multiple understandings. It could be the fluid as a package, or a portion of the fluid, or the cell specifically within the fluid.
Yes.
But it's got multiple meanings. But you're forcing the word semen there when the word is droplet. And I am doing the same thing of your text. We're saying, well, logically, God shouldn't be beaten, so I can force this meaning in your book as well. You're saying it's wrong for me to do it to yours, but you're fine to do it to mine. So that, I think, is a good observation for us both, and maybe we can both study further.
I'll reply, and then if you want, we can go, yeah? Yeah?
Sounds good.
May I reply? I'll do it in front of you rather than when you walk away.
I appreciate it.
Right? So I'll just read the text again. Right? It says, this is the Quran. It says, he is created from a drop emitted. I am not denying that it says from a drop emitted. The point that I am raising to all the Muslims who watch this debate, including Tariq, is it says he is created. So if it is talking about the act of creation and we're talking about the act of fertilization, we must logically deduce that we are indeed talking about the sperm. We're talking about the cells. Now, it says that they proceed from the backbone and the ribs. And every man knows, and every biologist knows, and every GCSE student knows that sperm is created and proceeds from the testes, not the backbone and the ribs.
That's wrong.
And since we are talking about the thing that you're created from, and you are not created from the liquid, look after yourself.
I'll be here, but I don't need to be on camera.
No worries. Let me give you a gift. Sure. I'm taking it you've got a Bible at home.
102.
102. Right.
Is there a specific book you'd have me read in particular?
What, of the Bible?
Yeah, I'm making my way through it. I'm on Matthew at the moment.
Matthew is good, and if you ever want to come back with questions on Matthew, I happily talk to you about it.
Love it. Cheers,
Yeah?
Bob. Have a good day.
Let me just give you a gift. There you go. We never got onto it. Trinity.
Nice one, Bob.
You look after yourself. Right, guys.
How's your boy?
I haven't got a boy.
You have? He's young Bob.
No, look, guys. I just want to point out to you, right?
He's not.
Like, I just want to point out to you that you really should not believe the comments in the comment section and the wild things that people say in the comment section. Just because somebody says it in the comment section or says they're young Bob, it doesn't mean that my son. Just think through before you jump to conclusions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Apologies.
No worries.
You're doing a great work, Chuck.
Thank you very much,
right?
brother.
God bless you.
God bless you.
All right.
You look after yourself.
What's that one?
It's a card, if you want to keep in touch. Any questions about any aspect of the Christian faith that people want to ask?
I have loads. The guy up there wants to know about the Trinity. So I'm going to go because he's a Muslim guy.
Tell him to come here and I'll talk to him about the Trinity.
Get him here because you
Yeah.
knowledge.
Any questions about the Christian faith? I'll just I'll just start off talking about the Trinity. So the first thing to recognize about the Trinity is that it emerges from a reading of the whole Bible and what the entire Bible says about God. It is an affirmation of monotheism, as we would call it in modern terms. It is a belief in one God, and that one God reveals himself and is Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. It is not a belief in three gods. It is not a belief that the Father represents himself as the Son or represents himself as the Holy Spirit. It is not an amalgamation with polytheism. It is something that you can see in the Old Testament in shadow form and in clarity in the New Testament, that affirms that there is one God, and the Father is that God, the Son is that God, and the Holy Spirit is that God, but the Father is not the Son is not the Holy Spirit, and the Holy Spirit is not the Father, and they talk and communicate with one another. So, brother, are you ready to go? Right. On that note, I am going to go. And me and this brother are going to go and have a cup of tea. So God bless you all, and thank you so much for listening. And subscribe
to Bob
and
or
support.
Speaker's Corner, because Socobtb does not support Bob or Speaker's Corner. No, that's Revelations. No, that's Sundays or Speaker's Corner. No, Speaker's Corner Revival. Now those channels support him, so please support him. Bob or Speaker's Corner.
That's the channel.
His official channel.
And support JC on Soco Films and Revelations 22 on their good work in the corner.
Amen.
God bless.
God bless.